Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another transfer rumours video. Again, just giving you my insight and my thoughts on some of the latest transfer rumours, and there's been some big ones. There seems to be one or two players that are just all over the news today specifically, and a lot of clubs that are linked with that specific player. So we are going to start off today with Ugarte. Is that how you say it? I know Arsenal played against Sporting in the Europa League this season, and he played in their midfield. He's a very solid defensive-minded player. And at the moment, he is linked with a big move this summer. Chelsea, Newcastle, and most notably, PSG seem to be leading the race. So it seems like a lot of clubs are on the lookout for basically a rock in midfield, someone that's going to sit in front of the defence and just do a job for them defensively. And I think that's exactly what you're going to get with Ugarte. He's a Uruguayan midfielder. He's not the tallest. He's not the most physical player, but I think he's very strong. He's got a strong centre of gravity. He's got a huge work ethic. If you watch back, I mean, again, I'm an Arsenal fan, so if you watch back the games we had against Sporting, and of course we were knocked out by Sporting, he was a big reason. They were winning those battles in midfield, and I think he's got some keen admirers. I think he could slot into a lot of teams, but PSG do seem to be the most likely target, or that's not the right word, the most likely destination at the moment. But it really wouldn't surprise me if Chelsea or Newcastle or any other top team in Europe do put out some money for this guy and put a bid in, because I don't think there's many players like him right now that seem to be, I guess, so available. I don't know how much we're looking at, but it's not going to be a cheap deal. He's definitely a hot prospect for the future. He's young, and I think he'll do very well wherever he goes. And I feel like, a lot of clubs have the same targets. So what we're going to have is kind of a domino effect where, let's talk about Declan Rice, for example. So many clubs want him. Once he makes a decision, some clubs are going to have to go to plan B, then to plan C. And there is no doubt in my mind that this guy is high up the list. There's other players like Caicedo, of course, that are linked to be moving. So we'll see what happens. But I think PSG might actually be best placed to get Ugarte out, and of course they've got a ton of money, and there is a PSG player we're going to be talking about later in this video. Let's move on to the next player. We have Tapson. At the moment, it seems like Arsenal and Tottenham have the heaviest interest in him. I don't know what to think about this one. So Tapson, he's a really good defender. I remember when he got his big move, he was having, I think it was in the Europa League, he was just having some really good performances, and he got picked up pretty cheap. And I know for a fact, I remember it very well, Arsenal were one of the teams interested at that point. So clearly there's some history there, and the club are looking at him. But also Tottenham are as well. And whilst I wouldn't recommend to any player that they go to Tottenham over Arsenal, I think what I would make clear is that he wouldn't be in the first team for Arsenal. I don't see how he would get into that duo of Saliba and Gabriel, which was locked down while they were both fit. And I feel like at Tottenham, him and Romero could form a really good partnership. So in a weird way, it kind of sucks to admit it, but maybe Tottenham would be a better move for him. But of course, it is transfer rumours. There's nothing concrete at the moment, but keep your eye out on Tapson. Tall, very athletic centre-back. He's obviously playing for Bayer Leverkusen at a very good level. He is one of their best defenders for sure. I think he could be on the move, but there's a lot of defenders on the move this summer, and who knows where each player will end up. But yeah, I could see him going to Tottenham. I really could. It'd be a good move for them as well. They do need to completely rebuild their defence, I think. Romero obviously is their key defender, the key piece of that puzzle. If they can complement him, I think they'll be on to a bit of a winner with Tapson, but we'll keep an eye out for this one. We'll move on to the next one, and this is, again, a player linked with Arsenal, but I don't know if I believe it so much. Gundogan just lifted the trophy, the Premier League trophy for Man City. One of the best performing midfielders over the recent months that City have just been on this trajectory of winning every game. There was moments this season where City weren't so consistent. Of course, they showed up when they needed to the most. Gundogan linked with a move away, though. He is a free agent this summer. His contract is coming to an end. And of course, he could sign a new deal and stay with Man City, and I wouldn't be surprised. But I think the rumours to Barcelona are very convenient. I could absolutely see him slotting into the Barcelona midfield very well. La Liga is definitely a slightly slower league. There's a higher tempo in the Premier League for sure, and it's more physical. And I think with Gundogan reaching that age where he will start to suffer body-wise and not be able to compete physically, I mean, it just happens as you get older, and I think he's 32 now. Part of me thinks, though, that if he was to, say, stay at City or move to Arsenal or Liverpool or whatever, he could easily play another season or two at a top level. So I'd be kind of sad to see him leave, but I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up at Barcelona. I think that's probably where he will end up. But talking of Arsenal, and of course with Arteta as manager, he worked with City for a number of years as Pep Guardiola's assistant. He knows a lot of the City players, and Gundogan, I'm guessing any manager would argue that he is such a good player to have in your team, not just on the pitch, but off the pitch as well, because he's a leader, he's experienced, and I've heard that Arteta really wants him at Arsenal. So again, just like the Tapson one, it's just one to keep your eye out on. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. I can imagine his wages will be extremely high. I think if he came to Arsenal, he would probably be the highest paid player, if not top 3 highest paid players, which doesn't sound quite right to me, considering we're rebuilding over the last few seasons with young players. But you do need to sprinkle in some top level experienced players like we did with Jorginho. Yeah, one to keep an eye out on for, but I genuinely believe that Barcelona would be, I think, the most likely destination for Gundogan. What a player, by the way. We'll move on again, and this is the PSG player I wanted to talk about. I cannot believe this is actually happening. So, according to rumours, I saw it yesterday, but mainly today, I think Ten Hag has been asked about it as well. Neymar to Manchester United. Really? Okay, so let's talk about the facts here. Neymar isn't exactly adored at PSG. I think it's fair to say that the fans are very up and down with him. He gets injured a lot. He's a bit of a diva. I feel like it's happening with Messi a little bit as well. Like they're obviously experiencing greatness with these players, but sometimes you don't want to have to sacrifice kind of like the morals. Not that PSG and PSG fans have many morals anyway. I feel like that they won't realise what they're missing until it's gone. Neymar is once in a generation type player. You know, when Ronaldinho retired, I never thought we'd see a player like him again. And I'm not saying Neymar is the same as Ronaldinho. I loved the showboating that Ronaldinho had, and you don't really see that in football these days. But Neymar, I think, is the closest to it. He loves the tricks, he loves the skills, he likes to be flamboyant on the pitch, and of course off the pitch, he's a bit. There's a lot of drama surrounding him. I don't think he's going to stay at PSG for long. And it does kind of make sense if he wanted to go for one last challenge. You know, he's you could say he's dominated La Liga when he was playing with Messi and Suarez at Barcelona. He's now achieved everything except from the Champions League at PSG. Why not go to the Premier League? And I can't see another team not only affording him and his wages, but being big enough, having a reputation big enough to carry Neymar's name. I think Manchester United might be the only team that ticks all those boxes. I think Liverpool are big enough reputation-wise to bring in a player like Neymar, and I can imagine him and Salah being the players for Liverpool. But I don't think they've got the finances to do that, and I don't think they would break a wage structure to fit someone like Neymar in. Man City, no, I don't believe that would happen. I very much doubt it. They've got so many players on the wings and in creative positions. I don't see where Neymar would go. Obviously, the other clubs like Arsenal, no chance, not in a million years. I don't think they carry the reputation that Neymar would desire. You know, he wants to be at the biggest clubs in the world, and Manchester United are the biggest club in England for me. He would probably fit in quite well there. They can easily afford him. They need a talisman up front. I think him and Rashford would bounce off each other well. They could talk about the weather. Do you know what? I can see it happening. I genuinely can. So, bit of a common theme in this episode. Just keep an eye out for it. It could genuinely happen. But it wouldn't surprise me if he stays for another season as well. Up next, we have another player linked with Manchester United. It is Rabiot. There were links last season in January, but it's come up again. It does seem like Rabiot is going to be leaving on a free. I don't think he signed a new deal, did he? Which is, it's a shame for Juventus, because what you've got with Rabiot is a player that I think took a little bit of time to really, I guess, hit the hype that we all thought he would get. I remember him at PSG, and I remember thinking, yeah, he's going to be something else. He's going to be a really good player because he's got everything. He's got everything you would want in a midfielder. And we didn't really see it, but now for France, at the World Cup, he was incredible. For Juve this season, he's been one of their leading players. He's a good player to lose, unfortunately. I think he's going to go to Manchester United. I think they're going to try and offload one of Fred. I don't know about McTominay if they're going to keep him, but I think if Rabiot comes in, he starts, doesn't he? That left side of that midfield three with Bruno and Casemiro. I mean, they're linked with a few midfielders, and I truly believe that Rabiot could be a perfect fit for United. I can't really see any negatives from this deal. So what a window that would be, bringing in Neymar and Rabiot. Oof, I don't want to think about it. And we have another free transfer to talk about. And of course, Ruben Loftus-Cheek out of contract at Chelsea. It feels like he's been there for 20 years. Apparently, he's going to go to Milan this summer. And I really wanted to talk about this one because I mentioned it not too long ago. It might have been in yesterday's video, actually. My brain's just a bit all over the place. Sorry, guys. Seeing English players leave England and go to Italy, Spain, France, whatever it may be, it's still so uncommon and it's becoming more and more popular, and I love it. To see Loftus-Cheek go over to Italy with Tomori in the same side, and of course with Abraham there as well, the ex-Chelsea boys linking up in Italy. I like it. I can't deny it. And I think, there's definitely a player in there because he's been around for so long. There's a reason he's been at Chelsea for so long. Physically, he's very good. I think he's got a lot to prove, though, because his name carries a lot of weight. I think everyone knows Loftus-Cheek and everyone expects him to be a baller, and it hasn't quite worked at Chelsea. I think some games you've really seen it, though, that he's got it. And I think at AC Milan, he would be incredible. I really do. A man of multiple positions. He can play. You can play him at right wing back. You can play him in midfield as a central midfielder, a defensive midfielder, an attacking midfielder. I'm pretty sure he could do a job up front for you as well, and I think Milan would really get the best out of him. So I hope this happens. I think it would be really good for him, and it's great for English players to get out there, get out of England, and show kids coming up through the grassroots football these days that you don't have to make it in the Premier League to be a pro footballer. You can go elsewhere. And I think Milan offer a very, very tasty project because there's no doubt after they won the league last year, and of course they weren't able to retain it this year, but getting to the semi-finals of the Champions League, they've got some of the best young players in the world. It's one hell of a project. And I think Ruben Loftus-Cheek would go in as one of the more experienced players, really, which is pretty incredible. But best of luck to him if that move goes through. And that is another transfers video. Some really big names potentially moving this summer. And of course, there will be a lot more. So I'll be covering them. And again, I shouldn't have to, but I do feel like I should apologise for the lack of career mode content. As I've mentioned, my mental health isn't in the right place at the moment. I'm having some personal issues, and I recently had COVID as well. I'm just taking a bit of a step back and making some content that I want to make. I love talking about football and transfer rumours and stuff like that. So hopefully you'll support these videos as well, and I will see you in the next one.